Évolution des infrastructures technologiques, cloud 5G, adoption, bénéfices et bonnes pratiques en Algérie, thématique de la 10e et dernière session de cette deuxième édition du CTO Forum. Toute organisation, comme vous le savez, ou toute entreprise dans divers domaines d'activité souhaite accroître son efficacité opérationnelle. La gestion de l'infrastructure technologique devient alors primordiale. La notion d'infrastructure technologique regroupe les composantes matérielles, les logiciels, les services nécessaires au management de l'environnement informatique d'une entreprise, le cloud aussi, ou encore la téléphonie mobile 5e génération peuvent être cités. Qu'en est-il concrètement en Algérie et quels sont les champs d'action adéquats en la matière? Nous allons débattre tout à l'heure avec notre panel. Le premier intervenant nous vient de Suède, il s'appelle M.Jörgen Eriksson, il est Head of Network Solution Transport chez Eriksson, Building Networks for the Digital Future Topic.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Great to be back in Algeria. I've always been fascinated by the country, the potential, the young people, the eagerness, the energy. So thanks a lot, and thanks for the CTO Forum for inviting me and giving this opportunity to share some insights. So great to be here. So before I dive into the topic of today, which is the network for the digital future, I have a video to play. Great. I hope you enjoyed the video. I get full of energy and hope when I watch it. It's really about giving the next generation of people the right, possibility to grow. I would talk about network, but really it's about giving the potential, opening up the potential for the future generation. And the network is more than the download speed on your mobile phone. It's about also really make sure that we connect different industry, society, and make sure the country is growing. And I think that's what I will try to share, some insights. Obviously, with the time limited, it will be more of a giving you an insight. But before going into future, I would like to go back 4 years to 2020. I don't know if you recall what happened in 2020. I believe our lives kind of changed almost overnight, no? With the global pandemic. And I believe we all got very impacted. I got a little bit emotional myself. Why I mention it is not to get sympathy from that point of view. It's rather that how critical the network connectivity was and is in situations like that. We moved from being in office or interacting like pre-pandemic, we normally say, from going home, working remotely, and kind of expect the same service. And I think credit to both the vendors, hopefully we contributed to that, but also the service providers for making that happen, because I think we had quite seamless service and very good quality across that period. And if you're now moving to 2024, I believe we are luckily post-pandemic, but still the ways of working, the way we interact is still hybrid. So we are not really back to interacting the way we did prior to pandemic. And that's also have an impact on how we build, how we serve our customers. The network we build, because it needs to be more virtualized now and also going forward than it used to be. So I will try to touch upon the current network that service providers have. Obviously, that's a huge asset. And then I will touch on 3 different layers. The foundational layer, which is more short-term issues. We may have, what do we need to do short-term in order to succeed? Then explorational, which is very much about the business, the potential, the industry, because you will hear that, and probably you have heard it during these 2.5 days already, that 5G is of course more capacity. It's 4G with more capacity, but much more. It's really opening up industries, but it's also challenged us a bit on changing the way we interact and work, because we need to work on different business models, and we need to see how we can, serve new type of customers. So that's, I will come back to a bit more about that. And then the research, which is long-term. It's especially on the vendor side, we need to interact with the standardization bodies, but also looking long-term. For every G, as we say it, 4G, 5G, 6G, is 10 years of research. So we actually already start working on 6G, and I'm sure the other vendors in the ecosystem also doing that. So that's a bit on setting the scene on the narrative of the presentation. If I'm going into the first part, which is the foundation. I think a lot of things, looking at the service providers today, they will obviously say, I have my network, and obviously you should utilize as much of these assets that are there already, which means that the spectrum is absolutely critical. Maybe you need to reform some of that spectrum. In a lot of countries in the world, 3G is actually sunset in order to free up that spectrum in order to use that into 5G. There are other ways of doing it, obviously, but an network evolution plan is absolutely critical in order to kind of have a consistent strategy and execute on that. It's also about lowering the cost per bit. I'm not sure if you have seen that, but there's a curve showing the exponential growth on capacity, but also on cost. But not necessarily the revenue doesn't grow in the same way. And it's a challenge out there to kind of increase that revenue. It's all our job, our duty to kind of closing that gap and make sure we helping in monetizing these services. So that's very important, including breaking the energy curve. So power efficiency, how can we simplify, because the energy bill goes up also with the complexity in the network. New business opportunities. I think here we need to be a bit creative. We are a little bit stuck in the way of thinking, the way we're working. I know there are startup organization here looking into how to kind of lift and elevate that business in Algeria, and I think that's the right way of doing it. We need to marry the different sectors together. That's how you bring growth into a new market. And manage complexity. I think with any new generation, with new nodes added, more complexity by default is added. So I think it's all our job also to try to automate, simplify. And there are tools like artificial intelligence, machine learning helping, but it's beyond that as well. So that's on the foundation. Then on the exploration. Now we looking at 5G. I know you don't have 5G in Algeria, but that's something that's probably a year or two out in time, hopefully earlier. The first thing is to build a resilient 5G network, because that will be the baseline to drive growth in the society. Connectivity is pretty much in every business out there. I thought about it on my way here. Can I find any business that doesn't have a strategy into connectivity? I don't think so. I mean, everyone is depending on having connectivity nowadays. So it's absolutely critical that this network is there, it's resilient, and it's trustworthy, because that's what will be, going forward. That is what, new services will build upon. Energy curve I already touched upon a bit. As vendors, we bring in new products to market. I think it's our duty to make sure they have, is less power hungry, make sure it's power efficient, using new material. There's a lot of things we can do. And also implement new software setup to reduce and maybe also turn off solutions at night time, etc., when it's not used, etc. So there's a lot of things we can do in order to all contribute, because it starts small, and overall this is adding up and saving the energy they build. AI networks and operations, absolutely critical if you want to simplify and streamline the services, the operation, and also be able to launch new service fast. I think that's probably the even most important. And then openness and innovation. There's a lot of debate about open network, especially in radio access network, how, open RAN, cloud RAN, etc. I think there will be a combination of different architectures in the future. The key is that we adhere to standardization and building an ecosystem. So the industry is healthy and can provide solutions for the service providers. This is a continuous journey we're doing and working and contributing to the standardization as well as a vendor. Research. This is a little bit more long-term. Our vision is actually limitless connectivity by 2030. And that means that by 2030, our vision is that mobile networks should be able to connect anything, anywhere, anytime. Let's see if we will succeed, but I think we're aiming high and try to get there. Obviously, different markets are in different time frames, but we believe so that this is doable. But of course, you need to invest in the infrastructure, in coverage, in capacity. If you do that, I think that this is definitely a possibility, and this will outpace fixed, because mobile is superior from that point of view, because it's flexible. Trustworthy system, it's more about security. I think this is absolutely critical. I saw it in the agenda. Also, this was special topics about it. It's absolutely critical and center stage going forward. We need to make sure the networks are trustworthy, so people rely and build their service on it. If they don't trust, I mean, this is basically, you don't have any opportunity if you don't have a trustworthy system, and people trust it. Network compute fabric is about marrying the devices, the network edge, and the cloud together in order to launch new innovative services. This is probably a few years out in time. It's, as I said, research is something we start very early, interact with the ecosystem, with also the vendors. We have interoperability tests, make sure that it works across different vendors, and of course we have standardization bodies that also helping us. And then cognitive network is about making the network more intelligent, especially in the operation and efficiency of the network, to simplify and also to be able to launch services faster without maybe even going out to site. So you can do this remotely and save a lot of money from that point of view, but you can still issue a new service fast. So to secure long-term relevance and revenue, first of all, I think every service provider needs to, first of all, understand their current role and define and claim that. So and then, of course, aim for something more, because it's about identifying new business opportunities. I think absolutely critical is to establish new collaboration, new ecosystem, startup kind of mechanism is absolutely critical, because that will be the new services that 5G and also 6G will be built upon. And the growth will come from those services. And then learn and scale from those relationships in the digital ecosystem. Before, I have 2 more slides. Before closing, I just wanted to reflect a bit on, first of all, we live in very turbulent and challenging times, and there's a lot of change going on. If you are starting on the society and the political agenda, I think number one, on the climate change, I think we all have seen, the amount of disasters, floodings, storms, you name it, has just increased. The pace has increased. I think we can play a much bigger role, and the connectivity and the network has a role to play, because it's, as I said earlier, it's part of every company's strategy today. And it's also part of this cutting the energy bill and the energy curve. So I think we all need to kind of take on this challenge from be a challenge to the main challenge. We need to also challenge every company to contribute. It's not someone else's problem, it's our joint problem. And here I think we can contribute a lot in this industry for a large part of the society. Post-pandemic society, I don't know if some of you have teenagers or etc. at home. I see a huge, I have a 17-year-old son myself, quite big difference from pre-pandemic and now. Of course, they've always been connected and always on social media, etc. So that's an issue, but I also feel that the way of connecting, the innovation is really done by people. No? It's hard to do this remote. You can have a Teams call or Zoom call, fine. But if you really want to innovate, it's something you need to do. And in some culture, I think it's pretty much impossible without meeting. It's kind of part of your culture, meet and build that kind of initial trust before. And that's an issue, right? Because if we don't change this behavior, then I think we need to get back to some kind of pre-pandemic way of working again, get back to office, get back to interacting and networking again. Because otherwise this will have an issue on innovation long term. And then on the technology side, I will not go through all of them, don't worry. On technology side, I just wanted to connect, I believe we all have smartphones today, but perhaps, I think the big trend now, we see the last year or so, is the wearable, XR, VR. So all these spectrums of senses is taking off big time. So we will, in the future, have glasses, you get sensors, you get information, real time. They're already gaming and these things doing it, but it will be more used. So this is just, the technology is there, it's working. I think it's not 100% perhaps, but it's there. And I think it's up for us to make sure we use this, because the potential is great. Yes, closing out. So as Eriksson, representing Eriksson here, I'm really proud. We have been 50 years in the country, a few milestones shared here. So we see this as a very critical and important market. 5G is next on the road. We're really committed to this market. As I said, we see huge potential. And we've been here 50 years. We see it at least to be, we are committed to at minimum 50 years more. So it's a market with huge potential, and we really want to be part and contribute to growing the economy, helping the society, and have a positive society going forward. And we believe Algeria has an even greater role to play going forward. That was it. Thank you very much. Thank you.